Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary, revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your celestial wisdom for the week of October 8th through the 15th of 2023. It's a pretty big week. We've got some big energy happening in the sky, and as we astrologers like to say, as above, so below. And in the Hermetic tradition, as within, so without. And this is all the intrinsic energy that we're feeling inside of ourselves that can create a lot of turbulence for us if we're not careful. And so, what we're working with in the evolution of our soul, of our energy, is to be aware of it. Number one, self awareness. And number two, to be able to stabilize in the middle of the storm. So, being the eye of the storm. And the big energy this week, of course, is our first eclipse in the sign of Aries Libra. It's a new moon solar eclipse, and that happens this coming weekend on the 14th. And we also have Venus making a move into Virgo. She's been sitting in Leo since the beginning of June. So she's been there for 4.5 months, a long time. She's ready to make her move into the sign of Virgo. I'm going to talk about that. Also, Mars is moving into its home sign of Scorpio. And Friday happens to be Friday the 13th. Very auspicious as it leads us into this new moon eclipse. So before I jump right in, I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone for liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing. Thank you so much. And finding me at jamiedawn.com and 12listen.com. And by the time this video is released, I will be heading to the East Coast to meet my new grandson. I'm super excited about that. So I will be spending the week of the eclipse week in Virginia Beach. And so that will be pretty awesome for me to be able to be with family and to meet this beautiful life force that came into the world in his own unique way. And I love it. I love every minute of it. Okay. So, and yes, I will post pictures on Instagram, Facebook, social media shamelessly. I promise. Maybe I can talk my son and daughter-in-law into letting me even hold him when I do my weekly video while I'm there. We'll see. So you guys can meet him too. But I have to respect their privacy. They may not want that. That being said, let's talk about our first big move of the week. Venus moving into Virgo, opposing Saturn in Pisces. That happens on Monday. And when Venus goes into the sign of Virgo, we're going to be feeling this last bit of energy of Leo where we've been wanting to express ourselves, be on stage. We're attracted to some of the shiny, fun things. Well, when Venus makes her move into Virgo, it's all about being of service. That's the love language of Venus and Virgo. Because remember, Venus is about relationships, values, finances. And so we're going to be looking at these things and saying, okay, how can I be of greater service to the relationship I have with myself, the relationship I have with others? Or how can I use my finances or what I value most to be of service to something greater than myself? And one of the things I love about this love language of acts of service is that it allows us to have a sense of purpose, that when in doubt, be of service. Now, the other side of Virgo is very discriminatory and creative, right? It says, let's have something that we're using, make it useful. Does this still work? Does it not? And so we're going to be looking at the things that are working and less tolerant of the things that aren't. We may find ourselves being a little more critical during this time of people or things that have cluttered our lives. And we're going to start draining our energy, right? So we're going to start pulling away. It's like, going through your contact list on your phone, going, block that person, delete that person. I never talk to them, or they just only call me when they're in a crisis, but they never give back. There's no reciprocity. Because remember, Mercury's in Libra, and Libra likes reciprocity. And so Mercury may activate that mindset to be able to say, where do I have equality and balance here? And if I don't have it, well, with Venus and Virgo, it's time to let that go. Now, if you're single, it's a great time to let go of any of the casual dates that have red flags, right? Sometimes we just get so caught up in love and we just go, I don't care. I just like being in love here. And I'll ignore some of these yellow or red flags even. And so we get rid of the Klingons during this time if you're single and you're looking for something more serious, something a little bit more tangible in the relationships. Just be careful not to be overly critical where nobody has a chance of dating you, right? Now, if you're in a bonded relationship, it's a great time to give constructive feedback or roll up your sleeves, work on something together, find ways in which you can be productive together. It's also a great time to move in together and clear out the clutter of your old lives to blend with your new lives, things like that. Now, as we move through the week, all this energy is leading into a new moon. Now, it's different than the full moon, as you guys know. With the full moon, the energy builds and builds and builds to be released. Well, with the new moon, the energy starts to become more and more pulled in, more and more introspective. And here we have, I'm going to talk more about the new moon eclipse in a second, but I'm setting this up with Mars is going to leave the sign of Libra and move into the sign of Scorpio on Thursday, October 12th. Mars traditionally rules Scorpio. Scorpio is a feminine sign. It's introverted sign. That doesn't mean bad or negative in the bad sense, but it does have this feeling of being more internalized, but we're driven here to get underneath things. Because remember that Mars in Scorpio or Scorpio energy itself is transformative. And Mars is what drives us. It's what gives us motivation. It's our impulses. And so remember, I talked about in last week's video of relationships getting an overhaul. Well, they are. Now with Mars being in this transformative sign of Scorpio, its home sign, it's very comfortable. It came back home from visiting Libra. And so now it's going, okay, I need to penetrate to the core of getting to the bottom of everything, right? So we're going to be very tenacious to get answers. We're going to be very tenacious and motivated to uncover the things that we may have had questions about. Maybe give us some courage to deeply seek to understand some of the things that were bothering us, that we were avoiding or being too accommodating when Mars was in Libra. Now, here's the shadow, of course. We got to be careful that we don't go into paranoia and then we go into mistrust and we start creating a story or we start creating drama that really isn't there, right? So we're going to have to be careful because when Mars is in Scorpio also, our passion is fueled by our emotions. Scorpio is a water sign, so there's this emotional energy to it. And so it could cause us to have a difficult time letting go of certain things that we might attach ourselves to, especially when we've got Mercury still in Libra. So our minds are going to be more prone to active looking for things, right? We're looking for every angle. We're looking for every reason to maybe question everything. Now, here's the invitation. Let your mind rest. And I think with Mars and Scorpio, it's going to be a little difficult because we're going to want to control it, right? We're going to want to control everything. And so it's hard to until we get our minds wrapped around a particular issue, it's hard to rest into it. But here's the invitation. Look at appreciation. We know this. If you're looking for faults, if you're looking for reasons to be mistrusting of someone, if you're looking for betrayal, if you're looking for whatever, you're going to find it, good or bad. And I'm not saying that you sugarcoat, like I mentioned last week. We don't want to sugarcoat anything or put those rose-colored glasses on and pretend that everything is fine when it's not. So if the red flag shows up or the in-your-face blatant information arrives and you're like, I've got to make a decision, then go right ahead, make that decision. But here's the thing. We want to blend a grounded presence, our emotions in a grounded presence so that we're not making emotional decisions, right? So because this new moon eclipse, and I'll lead into that, what that offers us is opportunities to create a sense of newness and sense of intention in our relationships and how we are navigating them, how we want to show up in them, what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. Mars in Scorpio is also really powerful for creating boundaries. And it's perfect for resetting where we may have, you know, allowed certain things in our lives that we really shouldn't have. Now, the other thing with Mars and Scorpio, if we've been struggling with this sense of will, I work with a lot of people who are like, I know I should be doing this. I know I should be doing that. I just can't get up early, or I can't go to the gym, or I can't go for that walk, or, there's other things I'd rather sit around and do. Okay. Well, we know the definition of insanity. But that being said, what is it that will give us that sense of will, that motivating desire to actually get something done that we normally would put aside? Well, with Mars and Scorpio, we'll have more of that intrinsic energy to be able to do that. Now, I will say, please start small. Don't overextend yourself too fast, or you'll give up before you even get started, right? So I'll use the example of getting up early. If some of you who struggle with getting up early to go for that walk or have that alone time or meditation, whatever it is that extra 15 minutes could give you, start with that. Start with 15 minutes. It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be like, okay, I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning when normally you sleep till 7, right? It might just be, okay, I'm going to get up at 6:45. Great. Give yourself those extra 15 minutes. And then maybe a month or so from now, you give yourself another 15 minutes. So then it's 6:30. Just as an example. So you slowly build up the muscle, okay? Now, let me also talk about the fact that Friday is October 13th, Friday the 13th, my favorite number, one of my favorite numbers, I should say. One, because my son, who was born on February 13th, he's an Aquarian, but he turned 13 years ago on Friday the 13th. Very auspicious, in my opinion. But 13, I want to give you just a little background of this number so that it doesn't intimidate you. The thing I love about it is it's happening in October, right? Which we know that Samhain and Halloween, All Hallows Eve, however you want to celebrate October 31st, is right around the corner. So it's all being set up, and it's the day before the new moon eclipse. Now, remember eclipses, we can feel the energy before, we can feel it after. It doesn't always happen exactly on the day. However, as I mentioned earlier, we're feeling this energy building, if you will, or pulling, because of it being a new moon, pulling us more and more and more and more inward. Well, here's 13. 13 in tarot is the death card. What is death? Transformation, change. It's a gateway to liberation. We're letting something go in order to step into something new. And that also there's this feminine principle to death, because there's a receptivity, a releasing or a letting go, an opening that happens. In ancient times, Friday the 13th was the day of the goddess. Well, in astrology, Friday is ruled by Venus. Okay, now let's reset things because we're slowly getting out of the patriarchal world, right? So let's get back to celebrating this Friday the 13th as the day of the feminine. There's so much power and creativity. And you think about this, the feminine is about life force, holding this life force. And I think of it even more so because of my grandson, right? And to have my children go through the process of pregnancy and birth, and to know that, my daughter-in-law held this precious one in her womb for 9.5 months. And here's this, she's able to create life. How can we not celebrate that? So use Friday as a chance to celebrate life, to come into this noticeable moment of power. If we knew how powerful we are, we would never play small again. And even if you are male, you can celebrate this because you have the feminine qualities inside of you. You have the yin yang, right? And so tapping into that power of receptivity, the power of life, and being able to use it as a tool for being of benefit, being of service. Now, this is a perfect setup too, as I mentioned, of the eclipse, because the eclipse energy is Aries Libra. Aries is ruled by Mars. Libra is ruled by Venus. Okay. Masculine, feminine coming together. celebrating beauty, wisdom, creativity, the nourishment of the soul, the life force, getting things done. So let's talk about the eclipse. So on Saturday, we have this new moon solar eclipse. So the sun and moon are next to each other. And this is where the eclipses bring on new beginnings, the solar eclipse, unexpected opportunities. And these are, remember, new and full moons on steroids when we say eclipses. It's where the nodes, which is the horseshoe in the chart, are in alignment with the sun and moon. And this is where new beginnings start. And they set us up for a good 6 months to a year, even of energy and things happening. They help us realize what we need in our lives to open ourselves up and receive it. Also, a new moon eclipse can reveal what's hidden in our subconscious, in our waking life. What do I need to know right now that I didn't know before, that maybe I was either ignoring or it was my blind spot, I just couldn't see. And so that's where we can utilize the solar eclipse. Now, this is going to be at 21 degrees Libra. So if you have a cardinal sign dominant in your chart, that would be especially Libra, but Libra, Aries, Cancer, and Capricorn. Those are our cardinal signs. You're going to be feeling this pretty intensely because it'll be making a square or a conjunction or an opposition to those cardinal signs. So with this being in the sign of Libra, we have Venus, Mars. It's all about relationships. It's all about what motivates us. It's about what gives us that independence and yet still allows us to be in relationship with others. So it's all about a sense of belonging and connection within relationship. We want connection. We need it. We need to belong as human beings. So this is a need to be connected to people, to ideas of what we love about relationships. It's a wonderful time to really contemplate and set intentions and get real with yourself. What does partnership really mean? How do you show up in a partnership? How do I show up in a partnership? What does that mean? And just as the moon in Libra wants balance and connection, you can find fulfillment. You can find harmony in your own journey of self-discovery. Remember that the universe does have our back, and it has a way of aligning our true desires if we're willing to ask for it. I'm going to even stretch us a little bit. Instead of asking, let's demand, hey, universe, you promised, now show the fuck up, right? I'm here. I'm offering myself to be of service in relationship. How now show up, right? So I am going to give you just a small little snippet. I know this is a bit of a long video, so hang with me if you want to do a little snippet of the eclipse by sign. Okay. So here we have Aries. I'll start there. Aries is going to have the eclipse in the 7th and 1st house. That's where you're going to be feeling it. So this is Aries. If you have an Aries rising, it'll be the new moon eclipse will be in your 7th house. And if you have an Aries sun, you'll feel this too, Aries moon. But I'm placing the sun sign on the 1st house. And so here your relationships get a beautiful overhaul, as I mentioned before, where you get to stand out and you get to say, I can hold this post. I can be who I am and offer partnership to you. And hey, I got your back. I'm the great protector. I'm the one that can lead the way so that we together can be successful. Taurus, this affects your 6th and 12th house. And so this is where you get to really focus on creating a balance and a sense of peace and harmony with your health, with your everyday activities, your routines. And that what might get revealed to you are some things on your subconscious where you didn't give to yourself enough, or maybe you were working with a bad habit that finally needs to be released or let go of. And so setting those intentions to say, you know what, it's time for me to take some control or command of my health, of my routine or my daily life. Gemini, this affects your 5th and 11th house. This may be a time where you're ready to release more creativity in your life, have a little bit more fun, and let go of some of the casual relationships and really form some stronger bonds. You might also find some new friendships that start to form, or thinking more about how you can be more involved in certain groups that resonate with you. Cancer, this affects your 4th and 10th house. So you're ready to root down and give yourself some form of liberation in your roots, in your ancestors. If you've been holding on to past wounding, past hurt, you're ready to set something new in motion that says, I'm ready to move forward with my life. And maybe there's a new home here. Maybe there's a chance to spruce up my home, or to feel like I have a real sense of belonging here. And that's what I want, is to belong. And so having also the means or the career that is fulfilling and that is in alignment with my values, and it gives me a chance to have some autonomy as well and do my own thing. Leo, this affects your 3rd and 9th houses. And so what you might be looking at are ways in which you can learn new things and to share your ideas within your community. You may also find that some siblings want to work with you, or they want to collaborate and have some sharing of ideas coming together. This also may have you traveling a little bit. You may decide, you know what, I'm going to make more of an attempt to connect with those closest to me, maybe in my, not just my local community, but in short distances as well. And so moving forward in the future, there may be some travel, especially if you're working in a sales job or things like that, that you start to travel more that way. Virgo, this affects your 2nd and 8th house. You're ready for some new income, but you're also ready to possess some new things, maybe buy a couple of things. And I think this is a great time, if you were thinking about a large purchase, to get that loan, to join forces with somebody and say, hey, I want to go in this with you. It could be that you decide you're ready to make the income that you have more useful and more beneficial for you, for your family, those who you might be dependent on. And then Libra, this affects your 1st and 7th houses. And of course, this is your new moon eclipse. And so what you may find is that you're ready to have an overhaul in your life, present yourself as this new being, so that you can form new partnerships, new relationships that have deeper meaning for you, that give you a chance to stand in the spotlight. And if you are looking for love, this is an opportunity for you to mingle, circulate, and that in the next 6 months, you could be finding that new partnership. Or if you're in a bonded relationship, going deeper into that relationship and knowing that things are finally solidifying, feeling more secure for you. Some of you may get engaged during this time. Kudos to you. Scorpio, this affects your 12th and 6th house. So you might be really feeling more introspective than most signs right now. And that gives you a chance to go deep into the psyche, pull out any fears, insecurities, deeper healing that you have been questioning. This is a beautiful time to reset things and say, I know that I can move forward in my daily life because I've healed, or I'm healing, working with these things that have plagued me from the past. It just feels like a big exhale for you, Scorpio, that you can finally go, oh, I can breathe, I can let go of the past and move forward. But you're going to have to do that deeper work and say, let's speak some truth here. What do I need to keep healing and keep working with? Sagittarius, this affects your 11th and 5th houses. So you may find yourself forming a new circle of friends, a new social circle. This may find you in a place where you start to, I'll use, for example, my kids who just had the baby, that now they're parents. So they're going to start probably finding more young parents with young kids and start socializing that way. So that's one example. It could be that you move and that you have to form new friendships because you've left the city that you were in before. It may also be that you've decided to create an opportunity to be more social. So it's like, maybe I've been too recluse and I need to actually spread my wings a little bit and spread out. Some of you Sages are also going to be finding yourself actually building a new tribe, if you will. Capricorn, This is your 10th and 4th house that's affected. So you may find yourself on this new journey of prestige, this new journey of income or career, the status, your reputation precedes you. And this is a great time to launch a particular career endeavor or something that you have been working towards for quite some time. You're going to be probably thrust into the spotlight in the next few months. Aquarius, this affects your 9th and 3rd house. So you may find yourself having a little bit of a new belief system that sets in, or some new work that helps you spread your ideas far and wide, and even thinking about travel and going long distances. This is where also that 9th house is our belief house. So because you're maybe thinking about an old belief system that life has finally said, nope, you can't think that way anymore because you've had other experiences. This is a time where the next 6 months, you could receive some really powerful experiences that change and reshape the way that you view yourself, view the world, and bring in this sense of hope, even if you felt hopeless in certain areas. Pisces, this affects your 8th and 2nd house. So you've been waiting on a loan, or you've been needing to join forces. It could be an inheritance. This is the joint forces. This is also 8th house has a lot to do with what our deeper bonds are about. 7th house is partnership, like contracts and, hey, I like you, let's get married kind of thing. But the 8th house is really where you get intimate. This is your intimacy house. And so you may find yourself going, I really want more intimacy in my life. How do I create that? And how do I do that in a way that has deep value for me, for my family, for my friends, whatever? But that sense of fulfillment in your life from the intimacy that you create, which is to be seen, right? Those are just a couple of ways in which this eclipse could affect us by sign. Granted, it's generalized, and please look at your sun, moon, rising sign. All of these things can have some influence on our lives. And the bottom line is that we meet each moment in the present. And if you need support, please get it. I always say we all need our own therapist. We all need our own astrologer, our own coach, our own life support, whatever it might be. But do allow others to lean in and lift you up if that is what you are looking for. All right, you guys, I hope this helps. Please like, subscribe, share, comment. Come find me at jamiedawn.com/listen, and I look forward to connecting with you as we move along this crazy train called life. Take care, everybody.